Hi again, everyone. This is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and a big warm hello to my subscribers. I love you guys. Today I am bringing you 4 Valentine DIYs that are neutral and can be left up all year round because love is celebrated all year round. And as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this DIY, you're going to need some lace doilies from the Dollar Tree, some embellishment of your choosing, some cloth or ribbon of your choosing, and now we're going to take 2 of the doilies and glue them together. Now I did this because they were a little bit thin and I was worried about them tearing. You don't have to do this if you're short on them, but you'd have to be super careful. I don't know because I didn't try it, but I have a feeling if you use a single layer, you're not going to be pleased with the look of it. I think it might wrinkle up and look, I'm trying to make it look more like a cloth of lace rather than paper. So I think if you use the single layer, you're going to end up having it look too much like paper. That's just a guess though, you could try it. So I'm taking some polyfiber fill and I'm just putting a little tiny thin amount in the middle there. And now I'm going to glue those doilies together. Now remember, they're double-sided, so they're extra thick. And that's it. You're just gluing it around and you're being really gentle so that you don't crease any of the paper here. You definitely want to try and keep it smooth. Now this is some cloth that I have used in previous videos to make pillows. I have used it to stuff little garland for little pumpkins and little jack-o'-lanterns. So it was the top of a king-size bed skirt. The top part, I cut off the ruffle and just took the top part because it looks very much like a drop cloth, and it also shreds and frays really easy. So if you're going for that rustic old look, it's perfect for that. So if you ever find any of those in a thrift store, snatch them up. And now I'm taking some of the Dollar Tree mop yarn. These pull apart in 4 different strands. I love mops, you guys. I think they are so naturally primitive and perfect for farmhouse decor. During Valentine's Day, I do tend to go a little French country, maybe edging on shabby chic. Those 3 looks sometimes kind of blend together. There's some crossovers there. I'm sure you guys get what I mean. There's a little bit of crossover, but it blends perfectly if you have a rustic decor. And I'm just making a really pretty bow with this. First thing I do is tie the Dollar Tree lace ribbon together with those mop threads, and then I put the frayed cloth bow on top of it, and it just makes an absolutely beautiful embellishment. Well, I think so. If you're into rustic, this is, actually, if this is shabby chic, this is also French country. If you're into any of that look, this just looks really beautiful. And what you see me doing here now is taking 2 of the mop threads. Now you don't tear these apart. They are left intact and full, and I'm making a top knot at the top because we're going to be gluing these hearts, kind of angling them at different angles a little bit down these threads here, and that will be what holds them as a cascading beautiful hanging wall piece. I'm going to end up putting these on one of my old windows. I snagged up a picture at the thrift store for about $5. It was perfect to convert into a window, and I went and bought some thin pieces of wood at Lowe's and glued them on and made a faux old white window that I love that look. And this is going to be a perfect decor piece hanging down that window. Check out how beautiful these came out. For this craft, you're going to need one of the love signs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to give it a coat of white primer. That's the Kilz primer, K-I-L-Z. I picked it up at Walmart. I think I spent about $22 for it. It's a gallon, and I just want to use it up before it dries out, and I'm finding it works really, really well with crafting. The only complaint I have is that it will ruin your nice craft brushes. You have to get a brush cleaner if you want to use it, and it's a hassle. So I do pick up those packages of the sponges from the Dollar Tree. I think they come about 6. Oh, there's maybe 8, but I think there's 6 to a package, and it's a one-time use. I use it, and if I'm working with it for a long time, I just throw it away because the primer gets really sticky in there. Because it's primer, it's meant to stick and not come off. Now, if I do a quick job, I can get away with rinsing it off and using the sponge maybe a second time, but it definitely damages your crafting brushes and sponges, so that's something to keep in mind. But it's, you know, and even the gloves that I'm using, you guys, after I work with primer, I have to throw them away because I can't rinse the paint off. So these are the pitfalls of using the primer, but it does dry with a real chalky look and looks just like chalk paint. So I'm really pleased with, you know, the look of it. Aesthetically, it's really good that way, but there are some things that you do need to take into consideration there. And I do end up painting the front and the back of this love sign. Okay, folks, during that break, I went and checked, and it is 6 sponges to a package. Now, on this love sign here, with the Dollar Tree signs, I always kind of have a struggle figuring out what I'm going to do with them because sometimes they look good just plain. And so I think, what am I going to do with this to make it look really good? Or, you know, a step up at least from where it's at. I take the color Antique White in Apple Barrel paint, and I end up painting the L, the V, and the E. Now, correct me if I am wrong here, but that Antique White looks almost like a soft yellow. I don't know if that's just my eyes or my computer screen. Let me know in the comments, but I end up always thinking of this as kind of a soft yellowy vanilla color. It doesn't, or maybe it's just because it's up against that stark white. I'm not sure, but that doesn't look like what I envision when I think of Antique White. That isn't what I think of, but oh well. I'm using it because I want it as a base color to add some warmth, because I'm going to end up taking and making the L and the V and the E a faux wood, and I'm just making the O a more clean white, I guess. I'm just going over it with acrylic paint there, and that's what you end up with. Now here's what I got for Christmas, you guys. My husband bought me this because I said, you know, I've never tried the wax. I'd like to try it because I love my water-based stain that I use. For those of you that watch my videos, you know about that water-based stain that I use. I used the wax, and of course the camera wasn't on when I was filming. I don't know why. I could have sworn I put it on. I don't know if it turned off, but all I did was take a paper towel, fold it in a square, and apply the wax, and this is what we end up with. So those warm undertones from the Antique White end up looking really pretty. Now it goes with my theme of neutrals because I'm keeping a very warm, you could see the Dollar Tree lace had that warm beige color, and you're going to see later the next DIYs have, you know, antique paper in there. It just goes with the theme. And of course I take a Sharpie in brown and just put some little faux little stitches around that O. I take a little bit of the Dollar Tree twine, wrap it around my fingers to make a bow. And here I'm taking the Dollar Tree lace and I'm cutting it down thinner. And I'm also cutting it because the Dollar Tree lace frays beautifully when you cut it. So you can kind of take your like nails and scratch it on the edges to make it fray, and it looks beautiful and distressed that way. And that's it. I love this, you guys. And for this craft, you're going to need a coffee can or a can in your choosing. It can be any can. It doesn't have to be a coffee can. Any can will work. So if you have an extra large can for another food product, that would be fine. And this is the decaf coffee from Walmart, in case some of you are wondering if you like coffee. You can look for coffee that comes in the coffee cans. They are fantastic for crafting, and I'm just applying a little bit more of the Kills primer. Now, a lot of you requested that I make one of these little tea holder cans, because I keep my tea in these on my kitchen counter for every season, and so that's what we're doing today. This is going to be able to be kept up all year round. It's for Valentine's Day, but it's one that when the seasons are over, like summertime, it's going to be perfect to keep on your kitchen counter and look very rustic, cute, and farmhouse still, because it's neutral. And you saw a printout there that I made. That's going to be a free printable down below in my description box. And for you coffee lovers, I did not forget you. I also made one that says coffee and me as well. So after I did the primer and it dried, I go ahead and apply some apple barrel paint in the color khaki on those lines there. I just took advantage of the lines on the can. Now I'm artificially adding a faux line at the top here, because I want the white line at the top not to be so wide. So I just go ahead and add it in there, and I'm just using a tissue. For applying the paint, I'm kind of applying it more like a stain, so I'm putting it on and wiping it off so I get a nice streaky, distressed, rustic look, and I love that. It works really, really good for that look. Now here I'm making my lid. I made this lid for the can that I made during the fall season that said pumpkin pies. It's a super easy, fun lid to make. You're just using cardboard and tracing out the lid that came with your can. Now, if you did not have a lid that came with your can, just turn your can upside down and trace the top. That will work out just fine. And I'm using 4 layers of cardboard. Now, I've made this lid 2 different ways. This is the preferred way. Well, this is what I recommend that you do. It's just use layers of cardboard. It's nice and sturdy, and if you put 4 or 5 or however tall you want your lid to be, it ends up being heavy enough, especially after you apply the joint compound there. You can also use spackling. You might want to water your spackling down just a little bit to make it a bit more spreadable, but it weighs it down when it dries and it makes it heavy, so that works great. And in other countries, I've been told that's called polyfilla, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called in every single country, but it's what you use to fill in nail holes in your wall. It's an all-purpose filler, and that's what I'm using in this craft here, in case you're wondering. This is the water-based acrylic stain that I spoke about earlier in the video. There's a link for it down below in my description box. It's really, really slippery and easy to work with. It makes a beautiful wood grain. I'm using a wire brush to apply the final layer there, just so that you get that wood grain look. And then I chose to use a wine cork for the lid here. I just stained that too, using a little bit of super glue now to apply it. And now I'm cutting out my free printable. Now, I'm Mod Podging this label on, and a lot of you asked me how I managed to get it down in the grooves with no wrinkles. I use a wet sponge and I keep pressing, but the most important thing is that once you get glue on any part of the sponge, you have to move to a clean part or you will accidentally lift your paper up and tear it. So I was frequently stopping and rinsing my sponge out and then going back and doing it again. So it always has to be a fresh, clean sponge when you're pressing. You're going to see me do it in a minute here, so you'll have a visual, but that's really, really important. Also, when you're gluing your labels down with Mod Podge and you're gluing on uneven surfaces, I brush the Mod Podge in the opposite direction. You can see me do it there, to shove that Mod Podge under the edges to get a nice, clean, wet. You really want to make sure you have enough Mod Podge there in the grooves, and a lot of times when you paint it on, you put your label down, there isn't enough swimming up underneath there, so you want to just brush a little backwards and push it under there. You're kind of forcefully getting more Mod Podge under there so that you can get nice clean edges. And you saw me pressing there with a sponge. Remember to rinse your sponge. And now I'm going to add some of the Dollar Tree ribbon on top of this lid so that it ties in the rest of my decor, and it came out so cute, you guys. I can't wait to put this on my kitchen counter. For this craft, you're going to need a heart shape, some cardboard, some wooden shims or painter sticks, and some craft sticks. Now, I'm using some antique music paper, and I'm going to leave that below in my description box as a free printable in case you want to use this too. You don't have to. I just thought that looks really, really cute for Valentine's Day. And I'm tracing out the little hearts so that we're going to have 3 here. And if you have the wooden hearts from the Dollar Tree, feel free to use those and cover them with paper. You don't have to use cardboard. It's just I always look to save some money when I can, and also to encourage my international viewers as well, so that if they don't have a Dollar Tree, they don't feel left out. You can do it either way. I knew my craft was going to be completely covered, and it just didn't make sense to me to waste the wood hearts in case I need it for a craft where I want the hearts to look like wood. So I'm just using cardboard. Now, here's the trick when you're gluing stuff down on cardboard. It's actually a trick anytime you're gluing paper down. If you find yourself struggling with your paper wrinkling, you want to go ahead and use the driest glue possible, because what's making your paper wrinkle is the wetness. Whenever we wet paper, it wants to shrink, and then that causes a whole slew of problems to follow. So just use a glue stick and you shouldn't have any problem there. Mine came up perfectly smooth. And now I'm taking and gluing the little shims together. So you can see that I've had to cut up some of the craft sticks shorter there and put it underneath. This is because I want my front side to be level. So if you're working with shims, you're going to have them where they're kind of at that graduated angle. So that can create a problem for you on the other side with a level surface. Definitely paint sticks would work better as far as being flat. You can even use large craft sticks, the jumbo craft sticks if you want, in a pinch or just a piece of wood or a Dollar Tree sign for this craft. You don't have to use the paint sticks. I just wanted mine to look like a palette. And now I'm taking some of the Walmart twine. I'm going to edge these, to cover the cardboard, but I think I would have edged them anyway with the wood. That's why I didn't bother with the wood hearts. I just wanted that look. And I'm cleaning it up a little bit with a lighter, because that little bit of twine from Walmart is really, really nice, but it's very hairy and furry, so I have to make sure that we don't get a little over the top with the fur there. I clean it up with a lighter. Just be careful, obviously, because we're working with paper there. You want to move really quick and do that and get ready to blow hard. So this is the Dollar Tree twine. It's a little thinner and it looks a little bit more delicate and pretty, I think, for this part of the craft. And I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it like you see me doing there. Sorry, I'm out of camera view a little bit. You'll see what I did in just a minute. I just glued the back and I'm wrapping it around at an angle across the heart. For the center heart, I'm going to go with a less is more approach here and just do a simple bow of lace and twine in the middle. Now, you're going to see me use the wax again on some of the Dollar Tree foam hearts, and I want to say ahead of time, here they are. If you don't have foam hearts, you can probably get away with cutting out more cardboard hearts or maybe a poster board heart, and then painting it white and then putting the wax over it to get the faux wood grain. I'm pretty sure that would work because it's so small. It would just look a little rustic from the bumps of the cardboard. I don't think you would have to worry about it. If you want it to look more expensive, you're going to want to apply, if you use cardboard, you're going to want to apply more of the joint compound on that. And I'm just giving options out there for people who don't have access to these foam hearts from the Dollar Tree. I just used the white ones, painted a little bit of that wax on it to make it look like a faux wood grain, and now I'm going to go ahead and make another twine bow. I'm using 3 fingers there and just wrapping it around, and that's what we end up with, cleaning it up a little bit. And there's the wrap that I did earlier that I said you would see. That's how it came out, and I'm going to glue that at the bottom end of it. And I'm going to glue that faux wood heart down in the center. Now, if you really want to get into it, you can refer to my video on how to make faux wood beads. You can make any shape with that, and that comes out looking like pine. It's wonderful, and it looks perfect for rustic crafts. You can also use a button, a sliced wine cork, Let your imagination soar, whatever you want to do, just have fun with it. For the base, I'm using some of the wood my wonderful subscribers sent me of a corn crate. If you don't have that, you can use some of the towering blocks from the Dollar Tree or any kind of scrap wood and just glue it down with some hot glue and make it a stand, and that's what you end up with. Let me know what you think, you guys. I think this came up so cute. If you enjoyed today's video and had fun, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Share this video, comment. It really does help my channel, and I appreciate it more than I can say. I love you guys so much. And of course, until the next video, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.